The fabric of reality wasn't supposed to tear like this. Wade Wilson, Deadpool, the Merc with a mouth, the regenerating degenerate, the guy who'd been banned from 6 different Avengers group chats, pressed his fingers against the experimental teleporter strapped to his wrist. Cable's tech, borrowed without asking, which technically wasn't stealing if you left an IOU written in crayon. One moment he stood on a Manhattan rooftop mid-fight with AIM goons who'd made the poor life choice of kidnapping his favorite taco truck owner. The next, space itself screamed, a sound that shouldn't exist. A frequency that made his already scrambled brain feel like it was being pured in a dimensional blender. "Oh, that's not good," Deadpool managed right before physics gave up entirely. The teleportation felt wrong. Instead of the usual brief disorientation, this was like being pulled through a cheese grater made of screaming colors and angry mathematical equations. Deadpool glimpsed infinite realities in that half-second of freefall. A world where everyone had mustaches, a dimension where gravity pointed sideways, an Earth where... Was that a musical version of the apocalypse? Then he was falling. Actually falling through actual air toward actual ground that looked suspiciously medieval and way too pretty to be New Jersey. He crashed through what appeared to be an ornate ceiling, all carved wood and elvish craftsmanship that his brain somehow recognized despite never having seen it before, and landed directly in the center of a very serious meeting. The impact created a Deadpool-shaped crater in gorgeous marble flooring. Dust settled, silence reigned, and approximately 20 pairs of eyes stared at the red-suited lunatic who just literally dropped into their council. Deadpool pushed himself up, groaning. "Okay, so either I took a really wrong turn at the last Infinity Stone, or someone's been smoking way too much of that good from the wizard's stash." He looked around at the assembled faces, elves, men, a dwarf, hobbits, and oh sweet Christmas, was that actually a wizard with a pointy hat. "Please tell me this is an elaborate Ren fair and you guys are just really committed to the bit." He turned directly toward the fourth wall. Toward you, dear reader, toward the audience that existed beyond the boundaries of this narrative. Yes, I see you. No, I don't know how I got here. And yes, this is definitely going in my top 10 Tuesdays that went sideways. Right between the time I fought zombie presidents and that incident we don't talk about with the My Little Pony convention. What sorcery is this? A regal elf with the kind of cheekbones that could cut glass stood from what was clearly the big important chair. Elrond. The name slammed into Deadpool's consciousness with certainty he couldn't explain. Agent Smith. Mr. Smith from the Matrix. Except, you know, with pointy ears and a serious case of immortal ennui. "Sorcery!" Deadpool laughed, standing fully and brushing dust from his suit. "Oh, honey, no, this is science. Really, really bad science. The kind that makes Bruce Banner nervous and Tony Stark quietly excuse himself from the room." He patted the smoking teleporter on his wrist. "Cable's gonna kill me. Again. He does that a lot." A man who radiated protagonist energy, rugged, stubborn-jawed, definitely brooding about a lost kingdom or dead girlfriend or both, stepped forward with his hand on his sword. Aragorn. The name arrived with the same inexplicable knowledge. "Identify yourself, stranger. How did you breach Rivendell's defenses?" "Rivendell." Deadpool's eyes widened behind his mask. "Rivendell. As in Lord of the Rings Rivendell. As in Tolkien Hobbit's second breakfast, one does not simply walk into Mordor Rivendell." He spun in a circle, taking in the architecture, the elves, the very atmospheric lighting. "Oh no, oh no, 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 no." "He speaks madness," growled a dwarf with a magnificent beard and an axe that had definitely seen some action. Gimli. "I say we throw him in the dungeons until—" Wait. Deadpool held up both hands. "Let me get this straight. You guys are having the Council of Elrond right now. The Council of Elrond? The let's figure out what to do with the evil jewelry meeting? How does he know of the ring? A man in Gondorian armor, Boromir, his mind supplied, drew his sword fully. He could be a servant of the enemy. Servant of... Okay, rude. I'm a lot of things. Mercenary, check. Occasionally morally ambiguous, sure. Voted most likely to ruin a serious moment. 6 years running, absolutely. But I'm nobody's servant. Deadpool crossed his arms. I'm from a completely different universe, pal. One with Netflix and pizza and far less walking. So much walking in your stories. Have you people never heard of Uber? Gandalf the Grey stepped forward, his staff glowing with subtle warning. The wizard's eyes, ancient, piercing, way too knowing, studied Deadpool with an intensity that actually made the Merc uncomfortable. This one speaks truth, though he knows not how he knows it. He is displaced, wrong, a thread pulled from another tapestry entirely. Finally, Deadpool gestured enthusiastically at Gandalf. Thank you. See, the wizard gets it. I'm dimensionally challenged right now, my teleporter. He held up his wrist, showing the sparking, definitely broken device, had a tiny little malfunction and dumped me into what I'm now realizing is actual, literal, holy crap, it's real Middle-earth. A small figure with curly hair and remarkably hairy feet stood slowly. Frodo Baggins, ring-bearer, professional sufferer. But how is such a thing possible? Multiverse, little dude. Infinite realities, infinite possibilities, infinite versions of everyone making infinite mistakes. In my universe, you're a book character. Well, book and movie. The movies are pretty great, not gonna lie. Extended editions only, though. I'm not a monster. Deadpool paused. Actually, I am technically classified as a monster in several jurisdictions, but that's beside the point. Enough. Elrond's voice carried the authority of someone who'd been dealing with nonsense since before most civilizations learned to make fire. Whether you speak truth or madness, you have interrupted a crucial council at a crucial hour. Gandalf, can you sense deception in him? The wizard approached Deadpool, who suddenly felt very much like a bug under a microscope. Gandalf's staff touched his chest and warmth spread through him, not painful but searching, analyzing, reading the fundamental code of his existence. He is chaotic, Gandalf said finally. His very presence distorts the natural order. But I sense no allegiance to Sauron, no taint of the enemy. He is exactly what he claims, a traveler from beyond the boundaries of our reality, here by accident rather than design. The wizard's expression hardened. Though his arrival has damaged something, the barriers between worlds are thinner now, wounded. Okay, cool, so we've established I'm not evil, just incompetent. Can we help me get home now? I've got a taco truck owner to save and at least 3 different crime lords who'll take advantage of my absence. Deadpool looked around hopefully. Anybody got a dimensional portal generator, infinity stones? Really powerful wizard who can just... He made hand-wavy gestures. Magic me back. The damage you've caused to the fabric of reality is severe, Gandalf said gravely. To tear open another portal so soon would risk catastrophic collapse. Both your world and ours could be destroyed. Deadpool stared. So what you're saying is... You're stuck here, Aragorn finished, his expression suggesting this was the worst possible development. For how long, we cannot say. Until the narrative resolves, Gandalf added mysteriously. Until your thread is properly woven back into your own tapestry. Days, perhaps, weeks, possibly longer. Weeks? Deadpool's voice went up several octaves. I can't be stuck in a fantasy epic for weeks. Do you have any idea how much walking you people do? I've read the books. It's like 90% walking, 5% poetry, and 5% actual adventure. Then perhaps you should have been more careful with your science. Boromir said coldly. Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss the Dimensional Travel Safety Seminar? Was there a pamphlet I should have read? Deadpool shot back. Look, I get it. I crashed your very important meeting about your very important evil ring problem. But I'm stuck here through no fault of my own, okay? Mostly my fault, but still. And I'm guessing you guys don't just have a spare bedroom where I can wait this out? Absolutely not, Elrond said firmly. Even if you are not an agent of the enemy, you are a wild element we cannot afford during such perilous times. Wild element? I prefer chaotic neutral with heroic tendencies. Deadpool flopped dramatically into an empty chair. Fine, let's hear it. What's the plan for the jewelry? And please tell me someone suggested just using the eagles to fly it to Mount Doom, because I've been wondering about that plot hole since I was 12. The council erupted. Plot hole? How dare you? The audacity. Okay. Deadpool held up his hands defensively. Sensitive subject, got it, so what's the actual plan? Elrond, looking like he'd aged several centuries in the last 5 minutes despite being immortal, gestured to Frodo. The ring must be taken deep into Mordor and cast back into the fiery chasm from whence it came. This burden falls to Frodo Baggins. Right, the small guy with no combat training gets the suicide mission. Classic. Deadpool studied Frodo, who looked about as thrilled as someone being told they'd won a free trip to hell. No offense, Frodo, but you look like a strong breeze could knock you over. Who's going with him? That is what we were discussing, Aragorn said stiffly. Before you arrived. I will go with him, Gandalf declared. And my axe, Gimli added enthusiastically. And my bow, said an elf so pretty that Deadpool had to do a double take. Legolas. Of course. And my sword, Aragorn finished. Boromir stood, his face conflicted. Gondor will see this through. I will go. 3 more hobbits popped up, Sam, Merry, and Pippin, declaring their loyalty with the kind of devotion that made Deadpool's cold, radiation-scarred heart feel things. So you've got 9 people for the fellowship, Deadpool observed. Nice round number, very symbolic, except... He stood up, grinning behind his mask. You're gonna need a 10th. Absolutely not, Elrond and Boromir said simultaneously. Hear me out! Deadpool spread his arms wide. I'm stuck here anyway. You need all the help you can get on this suicide mission, and let's be real, that's what this is. I'm literally unkillable, I'm great in a fight, and I've got meta-knowledge about how stories like this work. I'm an asset. You're a liability, Boromir countered. Undisciplined, irreverent, and clearly insane. All true. But I'm also your best chance at getting that ring to the volcano without everyone dying horribly. Deadpool looked at Gandalf. You said my presence here damaged the barriers between worlds. That means there's dimensional instability, which means potentially other things could slip through. Things way worse than one handsome, charming mercenary with excellent healing factor. Gandalf's expression darkened. He may have a point. No, Aragorn stepped forward. We cannot trust someone so unpredictable with a quest of this magnitude. You can't afford not to take me, Deadpool shot back. Look, I get it. I'm annoying. My constant talking drives people crazy. I make inappropriate jokes at inappropriate times, but I also survive things that would kill literally anyone else in this room. Decapitation, grow a new head, incineration. Takes a few hours, but I'm back. You're marching into Mordor, which does not simply get walked into, apparently. And you're turning down immortality? He has a point, Legolas said quietly. If he truly cannot die. This is madness, Boromir insisted. This whole quest is madness, Deadpool countered. 8 people and 4 hobbits are planning to walk across an entire continent, through enemy territory to throw jewelry into a volcano while the embodiment of evil tries to stop them. Adding one more madman to the mix is barely a blip on the crazy scale. Frodo, who'd been silent throughout the argument, finally spoke. If he wants to help, if he can help, shouldn't we accept? Sam immediately jumped to his master's defense. Mr. Frodo, sir, we don't know nothing about this person. Exactly, Frodo said gently. We don't know. But Gandalf says he's not evil, and if the alternative is him staying here alone, potentially causing more damage. The Hobbit met Deadpool's masked gaze. I'd rather have him where we can see him. Smart kid, Deadpool thought, distrustful but practical. Elrond closed his eyes, clearly calling on millennia of patience. If we allow this, if we permit you to join the Fellowship, you will follow orders. You will respect the chain of command. You will not endanger the quest with your eccentricities. Scout's honor, Deadpool held up 3 fingers. I'll be so well behaved you'll think I had a personality transplant. Somehow I doubt that, Aragorn muttered. Then it is settled, Gandalf said, though he looked about as happy as someone settling for root canal surgery. The Fellowship of the Ring shall be 10, 9 companions, and 1 dimensional anomaly. I prefer exotic import, Deadpool quipped. So when do we leave? Do I need to pack? Please tell me you guys have snacks for the road because I have a feeling your lembas bread situation is not going to cut it for my metabolism. We leave at dawn, Aragorn said coldly. Be ready, and stay out of trouble until then. Dawn, got it, trouble-free, absolutely. Deadpool gave a thumbs up. This is gonna be great, a real adventure. Me and the Fellowship marching to Mordor, destroying evil jewelry, probably singing songs. Do you guys sing? You feel like singers. Very musical interlude energy in this group. As the council dispersed, everyone looking varying degrees of concerned, annoyed, or resigned, Deadpool turned to the 4th wall one more time. So yeah, he said to you, the audience. I'm officially part of the Fellowship of the Ring. This is either going to be the greatest crossover event in history, or it's going to end with me getting blamed for the apocalypse. Maybe both. Definitely both. He looked at his broken teleporter, sparking pathetically. Cable, if you can hear me across dimensions, I'm sorry I borrowed your tech. And I'm sorry I broke it. And I'm really sorry about what I'm probably going to do to the timeline of an entirely different universe. The device gave one final spark and died completely. Well, Deadpool sighed. Guess I'm committed now. Time to see if Wade Wilson can save Middle-earth without completely destroying it in the process. Somewhere in the depths of Rivendell, Elrond poured himself a very large glass of wine and wondered what cosmic forces had conspired to ruin his very important council. The answer, of course, was Cable's terrible security on his experimental tech and Deadpool's complete inability to leave dangerous things alone. But that was a lesson for another day. For now, the Fellowship was 10, and Middle-earth would never be the same. Deadpool didn't sleep. He never really slept properly. The healing factor kept his brain firing on all cylinders, constantly repairing cellular damage, constantly active. It was like being perpetually caffeinated, which sounds fun until you've lived it for years. Instead, he lay on the absurdly comfortable bed in his guest quarters, all flowing silks and carved wood that probably cost more than his entire apartment in New York, and stared at the ceiling. So here's where we are, he said to the empty room, to the 4th wall, to you. Stuck in Middle-earth? Check. Joined a Fellowship on a suicide quest? Check. Surrounded by people who either want to kill me or wish I'd disappear? Check. And check. He held up the broken teleporter, its surface scorched and cracked. This thing is completely fried, no way home. No way to call for help, no way to let anyone know I'm even alive. The device sparked weakly, then went dark. Perfect, just perfect. He sat up, pulling his knees to his chest, a position that would look ridiculous if anyone could see him. A grown man in a superhero suit curled up like a kid afraid of monsters under the bed. Except the monsters were real here, and they wanted to enslave the world. Okay, Wade, he muttered to himself, let's think this through. In the original story, the books, the movies, Gandalf falls in Moria fighting the Balrog. Boromir dies at Amon Hen trying to take the ring. The Fellowship breaks. Frodo and Sam go to Mordor alone while everyone else fights the war. He stood, began pacing. But I'm here now. Variable Wade, the chaos element. Do I try to save them? Do I let it play out? What if saving Gandalf means Sauron wins because he never comes back as Gandalf the White? The weight of that responsibility made his chest tight. Back home, when I screw up, worst-case scenario is I get shot a bunch. But here, one wrong move and billions of people suffer. No pressure, Wilson, no pressure at all. A soft knock interrupted his spiral. It's open, he called, expecting Aragorn or maybe Legolas coming to lecture him. Instead, Gandalf entered, his pointed hat nearly brushing the doorframe. The wizard looked tired, genuinely tired in a way that spoke of ages weighing down. Can't sleep? Gandalf asked, settling into a chair. Don't really sleep. Healing factor keeps me wired, like I've had 18 espressos. Deadpool leaned against the wall. What about you? I figured wizards just meditated or went into sleep mode like computers. Even wizards need rest. Gandalf pulled out a pipe, began packing it with pipeweed. I came to speak with you before tomorrow's departure, to understand what manner of being you truly are. I'm a disaster, Gandalf. A walking, talking, unkillable disaster. Deadpool slid down the wall to sit. Want the full origin story? Orphan military service, terminal cancer, secret program that tortured me until I developed a healing factor, went completely insane from the pain. Now I kill people for money while cracking jokes to cope with the existential horror of existence. It's a real heart-warmer. Gandalf lit his pipe, smoke curling in strange patterns that almost looked like runes. You speak of torture and madness with the casual air of one discussing the weather. Humor's cheaper than therapy, and less likely to get me locked up. Deadpool watched the smoke. You want to know if you can trust me? If I'm going to snap and murder everyone in their sleep or betray you to Sauron for a corn chip? Actually, I wanted to know if you believe you can be trusted. The question hit like a punch to the gut. Deadpool was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. I try to do the right thing, most of the time. But I've killed a lot of people, Gandalf. Bad people, mostly. Sometimes people who were just in the way. My moral compass spins like a roulette wheel. Honesty? Good. Gandalf blew a perfect smoke ring. I have lived many lifetimes, Deadpool. I have seen heroes fall to darkness and villains rise to redemption. The measure of a person is not their past, but their choices when everything is at stake. And you think I'll make the right choices? I think you'll make your choices. Whether they're right remains to be seen. The wizard's eyes glinted in the low light. But I also see that you genuinely wish to help. That counts for something. Or I'm just bored and suicidal. Never rule that out. Suicidal? Gandalf's expression sharpened. You cannot die, you said. Can't die doesn't mean don't want to. The words came out before Deadpool could stop them. Do you have any idea what it's like? To survive everything? To watch everyone around you age and die while you stay the same? To know that no matter how much pain you're in, it'll never end? The room fell silent except for the crackling of Gandalf's pipe. I think, the wizard said slowly, that I understand more than you know. I am not immortal in the way you are, but I have lived long enough to bury friends, to watch civilizations rise and fall, to carry the weight of centuries. He met Deadpool's masked gaze. The burden of a long life is that you accumulate losses, but also purpose, people who need you, causes worth fighting for. Is that supposed to make me feel better? No. It's supposed to make you feel less alone. Deadpool's throat tightened. Thanks, Gandalf. That's actually pretty cool of you. You're welcome. The wizard stood, moving toward the door. Tomorrow we begin a journey that will test all of us. You will see wonders and horrors. You will be pushed to limits you didn't know existed. And yes, you will probably make jokes about the eagles. Despite everything, Deadpool laughed. You know me so well already. Everyone makes that joke eventually. Gandalf paused at the door. One final thing. Your knowledge of our world, of what should happen, forget it. The moment you arrived, every prophecy became uncertain. The future is unwritten. We walk into shadow together and none of us knows what awaits. That's supposed to be comforting? No, it's supposed to be freeing. The wizard left, closing the door softly. Deadpool sat in silence, processing. Then he stood, checked his katanas, adjusted his pouches, secured his mask. Okay, he said to his reflection in a polished silver mirror. Tomorrow we walk into legend. Try not to break everything, Wilson. He looked at his hands, scarred and twisted beneath the gloves marked by the cancer that would never kill him but would never heal. Just try to be a hero. For once. Actually try. Outside, dawn was beginning to break over Rivendell. Golden light spilled across the valley, making everything look like a painting. The Fellowship would depart within hours, and Deadpool, the Merc with a mouth, the dimensional anomaly who'd crashed into a world not his own, would march with them into darkness. Hope shines brightest in the darkest night, he quoted quietly. Let's see how bright I can shine before this is all over. The Fellowship assembled in Rivendell's courtyard as the sun crested the mountains. 10 figures, each carrying the weight of impossible responsibility. Aragorn stood tall in his ranger gear, all leather and determination. Legolas moved with inhuman grace, his bow already strung. Gimli was fully armored despite the early hour, his axe gleaming. Gandalf leaned on his staff, looking every bit the wise wizard. Boromir checked his sword for the 10th time, jaw tight. And the 4 hobbits, Frodo with his burden hidden under his shirt, Sam hovering protectively, Merry and Pippin trying to look braver than they felt, and Deadpool in his red and black suit, katanas crossed on his back, looking completely out of place and perfectly at home simultaneously. Right, Deadpool said, breaking the solemn atmosphere. Before we start this death march, can we establish some ground rules? Like who's in charge, what's the bathroom situation, and most importantly, what's our snack strategy? There is no strategy, Aragorn said flatly. We walk south until nightfall, make camp, repeat until we reach Mordor. That's not a strategy, that's barely a concept. Where's the tactical planning, the contingencies, the escape routes? I am the escape route, Aragorn replied, somehow making it sound both badass and slightly condescending. Of course you are. You're the ranger. Tracking, survival, brooding mysteriously. It's all in the job description. Deadpool turned to the hobbits. What about you little guys? You ready for months of walking through the most dangerous place in existence? We're hobbits, Pippin corrected. And we're tougher than we look. You're 3.5 feet tall and weigh maybe 80 pounds. If we fight orcs, I'm using you as projectile weapons. You will do no such thing, Gandalf interjected firmly. Fine, fine. I'll use Gimli instead. He's denser. The dwarf actually laughed at that. Aye, lad, and I'll split your skull if you try. See? Gimli gets my humor. We're gonna be best friends. Elrond descended the steps, his immortal face grave. The ring-bearer is ready to depart. Gandalf, may the stars light your path. May the Valor protect you all. Yeah, thanks for the hospitality. 5 stars on Yelp, great continental breakfast, Deadpool said. We'll send a postcard from Mordor. Wish you were here with a picture of the Eye of Sauron, very touristy. Elrond's eye twitched. May you survive what is to come. Was that a blessing or a threat? Both. The Fellowship moved out, filing through Rivendell's gates and onto the path south. Deadpool fell into step beside Sam, who immediately looked uncomfortable. So, Sam. Samwise. The wise Sam, Deadpool said cheerfully. You're Frodo's best friend, right? Loyal to the end, probably going to give the most inspiring speech of the whole quest. I'm just here to look after Mr. Frodo, sir, Sam stammered. That's beautiful. Blind loyalty in the face of certain death. Very heroic. Deadpool glanced at Frodo ahead of them. How's he doing? Is the ring already whispering to him, or does that come later? The ring is evil, Sam said firmly. It tries to corrupt whoever bears it. But Mr. Frodo is strong. He's going to need to be. That thing he's carrying is basically a nuclear weapon made of psychological warfare, and there's nothing any of us can do except watch it destroy him piece by piece. Sam stopped walking, his face fierce despite his small stature. Then we'll be there to remind him who he is. Me and you and everyone else. We won't let the ring win. Deadpool studied the determined gardener. You know what, Sam? I believe you. You've got that ride or die energy. It's admirable. Thank you, Mr. Deadpool. Just Deadpool, or Wade, or that annoying masked guy. I answer to all of them. They caught up to the Fellowship, who'd reached a fork in the road. We make for the Gap of Rohan, Gandalf announced, pointing south. From there... Wait, Deadpool held up a hand. Before we commit to a route, can I just ask one more time about the Eagles, because... No, the entire Fellowship said in unison. You didn't let me finish. The great Eagles serve no master, Gandalf said with strained patience. They are proud beings who come when they choose. They will not fly into Mordor, where the Nazgul patrol and the Eye watches. The ring would corrupt them mid-flight, and they would fall or cast the ring-bearer to his death. Deadpool processed this. So what you're saying is the Eagles are a terrible plan. Yes. And I should stop asking. That would be appreciated. Fine, we walk, like medieval peasants. This is fine, everything is fine. They walked, and walked, and walked some more. The first hour was beautiful. Rolling hills, autumn colors, clean air that didn't taste like car exhaust. The second hour was still okay. By the third hour, Deadpool's enthusiasm was waning. This is like hiking, he complained, except worse because there's no trail mix and the bears might actually be orcs. There are no orcs in these lands, Legolas said from the front. Not yet. Yet. Great qualifier. Super reassuring. By midday, they stopped for lunch. Lembas bread all around, plus some dried fruit. Deadpool bit into the lembas and made a face. This tastes like compressed air and disappointment. One bite fills a grown man's stomach, Gimli said proudly. Yeah, because your taste buds commit suicide so you don't have to eat more. Deadpool forced it down. You guys seriously eat this for entire journeys? No wonder everyone's so dramatic. He pulled out a protein bar from his pouch, slightly crushed but edible. This is food. Chocolate, peanut butter, probably some chemicals that don't exist here. Heaven. The hobbits crowded around, fascinated. Pippin tried a piece and his eyes went wide. This is amazing! Soon all 4 hobbits were sampling the alien snack food like it was manna from heaven. Can we go to your world just for the food? Pippin asked. If I ever figure out how to get back, I'll bring you guys a whole grocery store, Deadpool promised. Boromir stood abruptly. We're wasting time, we should move. Let them rest, Aragorn said quietly. The hobbits need it. The hobbits are slowing us down. The hobbits are why we're doing this, Deadpool interjected, standing. Frodo's carrying the fate of the world. Cut him some slack if he needs 5 minutes. Boromir's hand moved to his sword. You know nothing of what we face. I know you're scared. I know you're worried about Gondor. And I know the ring is already working on you, whispering that you could use it to save everyone. The camp went silent. How dare you? Boromir started. I'm not judging. I'm just saying I see it. The way you look at Frodo. The calculation in your eyes, the what if. You're thinking it. And that's exactly what the ring wants. Boromir's face had gone pale. I am loyal to Gondor. I don't doubt your loyalty, I doubt the ring's subtlety. Deadpool kept his voice gentle. Look, I've been corrupted by power before. Different situation, but same principle. Something offers you strength, tells you that you can save everyone if you just compromise a little. Then a little more. Then suddenly you're the villain. Gandalf stood, his staff thumping the ground. Enough. Boromir, Deadpool speaks uncomfortable truth. We must all guard our hearts against the ring's influence. Boromir looked like he wanted to argue, but after a moment he nodded stiffly and walked away. Aragorn approached Deadpool quietly. That was dangerous. You risk making an enemy. Better an enemy who's aware of the danger than a friend who's not. Deadpool watched Boromir's retreating back. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Mostly. You continue to surprise me, Aragorn admitted. Don't worry, I'll say something stupid soon and ruin it. They resumed walking, 6 more hours until nightfall. The landscape was beautiful, Middle-earth unspoiled by industry or pollution, forests that looked primeval, mountains that seemed to touch the sky. It's pretty here, Deadpool said quietly. Aye, Gimli agreed. Worth fighting for. Yeah, it is. That evening they made camp in a sheltered dell. Aragorn and Legolas took first watch. Deadpool tried to help with the fire and failed spectacularly. You're useless at survival, aren't you? Gimli laughed, taking over. In my defense, where I come from, fire comes from a switch or voice command. Alexa, set things on fire. What's Alexa? Artificial intelligence. It's like magic, but science. Within minutes, Gimli had a proper fire going. The fellowship gathered close as stars emerged. So many stars, unpolluted and brilliant. Frodo sat slightly apart, staring into the flames. You okay? Deadpool asked. Just thinking, Frodo said quietly. About the ring? Everyone glared at Deadpool for being so direct. The ring is always present, Gandalf said. Frodo cannot forget it, even for a moment. That sounds like hell. How do you stay sane? You focus on why you're doing it, Frodo said. The Shire, my friends, everyone who deserves to live free. That's actually really heroic. Deadpool felt genuine respect. For what it's worth, I think you're amazing. I couldn't do what you're doing. Yes, you could, Frodo said simply. You're here, aren't you? Yeah, but I can't die, takes the edge off. Death isn't the only sacrifice. Sometimes giving up who you are is worse. The words hung in the air, heavy with truth. One by one, the fellowship bedded down. Deadpool lay staring at unfamiliar constellations. Can't sleep, Aragorn's voice came from nearby. Never do. Healing factor. Then take the next watch. Legolas and I need rest. You trust me with that? You're here, aren't you? Might as well be useful. Deadpool stood, moving to the camp's edge, scanning the darkness. His enhanced senses picked up every sound: wind in the trees, a stream in the distance, small animals moving through underbrush. Then he heard it, a branch snapping, too loud to be an animal. His katanas were in his hands instantly. Another snap, closer. Shapes emerged from the darkness, hunched, twisted, with yellow eyes gleaming. Orcs, at least 6, maybe more. "Well," Deadpool muttered. This escalated quickly. The lead orc snarled something in black speech that Deadpool's dimensional translation somehow understood. "Man-flesh. The master will reward us." "Hate to break it to you," Deadpool said loudly enough to wake the camp, "but I'm not actually man-flesh, more like cancer flesh. It's complicated. Point is, you picked the wrong camp." Behind him, the Fellowship scrambled awake. The orcs charged, and Deadpool, grinning behind his mask, charged right back. "Finally!" he shouted. "Some action!" His first katana took an orc's head clean off. The second blade gutted another before it could react. He moved like water, years of mercenary training combining with enhanced reflexes and complete disregard for personal safety. An orc blade caught him across the ribs. Deep cut would have killed a normal person. "Ow, rude!" Deadpool spun, katanas flashing. The orc fell in 2 pieces. "That's gonna take like 20 minutes to heal." Aragorn was beside him suddenly, sword flashing in the starlight. Legolas's arrows sang through the air, each one finding an eye or throat. Gimli waded in with his axe, bellowing dwarvish war cries. "Form up," Aragorn shouted. "Protect the hobbits." The Fellowship moved with practiced efficiency. Well, 9 of them did. Deadpool just kept killing things with enthusiastic brutality. "Is he laughing?" Boromir asked, horrified, as he ran another orc through. "I think he's having fun," Legolas observed, loosing another arrow. Deadpool was indeed having fun. This was familiar. This was what he was good at. Combat, chaos, the simple mathematics of violence. An orc spear took him through the shoulder. He grabbed it, pulled it through, and used it to impale the orc who'd thrown it. "Thanks for the weapon." He hurled it at another orc. "I'll return it when I'm done." The battle was over in minutes. 15 dead orcs littered the clearing. The Fellowship stood panting, adrenaline fading. Deadpool had at least 6 serious wounds already healing, his suit soaked with blood, his own and the orcs. "Everyone okay?" Gandalf asked, checking each member. "We're fine," Aragorn confirmed. "Thanks to Deadpool's warning." "Yeah, well, I have insomnia and trust issues, comes in handy." Deadpool wiped his blades clean. "Though I gotta say, orcs are way uglier in person than in the movies. And they smell terrible. Like a dumpster fire had a baby with a porta potty." "Movies?" Legolas asked. "Never mind. Different universe thing." Gimli was staring at Deadpool's wounds, which were visibly knitting closed. "By Durin's beard, you're actually healing." "Yep. Told you. Unkillable." Deadpool touched the hole in his shoulder where the spear had gone through. "Give it another 10 minutes and it'll be good as new. Well, as new as my cancer-scarred flesh ever gets." "That's..." Sam searched for words. "That's not natural." "No, it's really not. It's science. Mad science. The kind that gets you banned from ethical review boards." Aragorn was examining the dead orcs. "These are scouts, from Isengard by their markings. Saruman's forces." "Saruman already knows about the Fellowship?" Boromir asked, alarm clear in his voice. "It would seem so." Gandalf's expression was grave. "We must move faster. If Saruman has sent scouts, he'll send more, perhaps worse." "Define worse," Deadpool said. "Uruk-hai, bred for strength and endurance, larger than these orcs, harder to kill and completely loyal to Saruman." "Great. Super orcs. Love that for us." They broke camp immediately, moving south under the stars. No one could sleep now, adrenaline and fear keeping them alert. As they walked, Legolas fell into step beside Deadpool. "That was impressive," the elf said quietly. "Your combat skills." "Thanks. I've been killing things professionally for like 20 years. You get good at it. You don't fear death. Can't die, so that helps, but also..." Deadpool paused. "I've died so many times, technically, that it's lost its power over me. Pain, suffering, dismemberment. I know I'll survive it all. So why be afraid? That sounds lonely, to be so separate from mortality." "It is. But hey, at least I'm useful in a fight, right? That counts for something." They walked in silence for a while, two warriors from different worlds finding common ground in violence. As dawn broke on their second day, the Fellowship had traveled 20 miles, fought their first battle, and begun to understand what they were truly facing. And Deadpool, covered in healing wounds and orc blood, grinned behind his mask. "Day 2 of the Fellowship," he said to the fourth wall. "One fight down, probably several hundred to go, but hey, at least I'm not bored anymore." He looked at the horizon where Caradhras loomed in the distance. The mountain they'd have to cross. "Something tells me the fun is just getting started." 3 days later, the Fellowship stood at the base of Caradhras, the Redhorn Mountain, staring up at its snow-covered peak with varying degrees of dread. "So," Deadpool said, "we're climbing that, in winter, with hobbits who are like 2 feet tall, and no climbing gear. Cool plan, very strategic." "We have no choice," Gandalf said, his voice tight. "The Gap of Rohan is watched. This is the only way." "What about going around? Like way around? Take 6 extra months but not die of hypothermia? Sauron's forces grow stronger each day. We cannot afford delay." "Right, because walking into a blizzard on a mountain pass is much faster than being alive." Deadpool looked at the hobbits, who were already shivering. "These guys are from the Shire. The Shire. It's basically English countryside. They don't do mountains." "We'll manage," Frodo said quietly, though his voice trembled. "No, see, this is how people die. They say they'll manage, then they freeze to death, and I have to feel bad about it." "Your concern is noted," Aragorn said dryly. "Now start climbing." The ascent was brutal. Snow began falling within the first hour, soft flakes that quickly became a driving wind. The path grew narrow, treacherous, with sheer drops on one side and cliff face on the other. Deadpool, with his healing factor, barely felt the cold. But watching the hobbits struggle, watching Frodo stumble and nearly fall, watching everyone suffer, that was harder than any physical discomfort. "Here," he said, scooping up Pippin when the young hobbit fell for the 3rd time. "I'm carrying you." "I can walk," Pippin protested. "You can also fall off a mountain and die. I'm immortal, so if I fall, I'll just regenerate at the bottom and climb back up." "Economics of risk, kid." He grabbed Merry with his other arm. "You too, don't argue." "I wasn't going to," Merry said gratefully, too cold to maintain hobbit pride. With 2 hobbits secured, Deadpool continued climbing. Sam carried Frodo's pack to lighten his load. Gimli, despite his short stature, climbed with dwarven endurance. Legolas barely touched the snow, moving across the surface like he weighed nothing. But the storm grew worse. "This is not natural," Gandalf shouted over the wind. "Saruman works against us." "You mean the evil wizard is making evil weather?" Deadpool yelled back. "Shocking! Who could have predicted this?" Lightning cracked across the sky, wrong, twisted, clearly magical. The mountain itself seemed to be fighting them, rock crumbling under their feet, avalanches threatening from above. "We must turn back," Boromir called. "The mountain will kill us." "We cannot go back." Gandalf's voice was barely audible over the storm. Then Deadpool heard it. A voice, ancient and malevolent, speaking words of power that made his bones ache. Saruman casting from Orthanc, commanding the mountain itself. "Oh, that's just cheating," Deadpool shouted at the sky. "Weather manipulation. In a fantasy setting, that's such a cop-out." A massive chunk of ice broke free from above, plummeting toward them. Deadpool moved on instinct. He threw both hobbits to Aragorn, drew his katanas, and sliced the falling ice into pieces small enough to scatter harmlessly. "Okay," he screamed at the mountain, at Saruman, at the universe itself. "You want to fight? Let's fight." "Deadpool, no!" Gandalf started. But Deadpool was already climbing. Straight up, using his katanas to grip the ice, healing factor negating frostbite, rage overriding common sense. He reached a ledge, planted his feet, and screamed at the storm. "Is that all you've got, Saruman? Because I've survived worse. I've been dismembered, atomized, and turned into chunky salsa. A little snow doesn't scare me." The storm paused, actually paused as if the mountain itself was confused by this tiny immortal idiot screaming at it. Then it redoubled its fury. Ice and rock and lightning all focused on Deadpool's position. The entire ledge exploded, sending him tumbling down the mountainside in an avalanche of stone and snow. He hit the Fellowship's position like a meteor, taking out Boromir and Gimli in the impact. "Ow," Deadpool groaned from under a pile of snow. "That was dumb. That was so dumb. Why am I like this?" "Because you're an idiot," Boromir shouted, digging himself out. "We must retreat," Gandalf commanded. "Down the mountain, now!" The Fellowship scrambled back the way they'd come, sliding and stumbling through the worsening storm. By the time they reached the base, everyone was exhausted, freezing, and demoralized. "So," Deadpool said, snow melting off his suit, "that went well. We learned that Saruman has weather powers and I have terrible impulse control. Educational." "We're trapped," Boromir said, his voice hollow. "The mountain pass is closed. The Gap of Rohan is watched. We have nowhere to go." "There is one other path," Gandalf said quietly, though his expression suggested he'd rather eat his own staff. Everyone knew what he was about to say. "No," Aragorn said immediately. "Not Moria." "What's Moria?" Pippin asked innocently. "Death," Gimli and Aragorn said simultaneously. "Actually, it's an ancient dwarven kingdom," Gimli corrected. "The greatest of dwarf realms, mines of unimaginable wealth." "That's been overrun by goblins, orcs, and worse," Aragorn finished. "We cannot risk the mines." "We have no choice," Gandalf said heavily, "unless you wish to surrender the quest entirely." Deadpool had been dreading this moment, because he knew what happened in Moria. He knew what waited there in the depths, and he knew that no matter what he did, someone was going to suffer. "Moria it is then," he said quietly. "Into the goblin-infested death trap. Great. Love it. This is fine." "You know of Moria?" Legolas asked sharply. "I know it's dark, full of enemies, and has a really big thing at the bottom that we super don't want to wake up." Deadpool met Gandalf's eyes. "But you already know that, don't you?" "I suspect many things," Gandalf said carefully. "Certainty is another matter." They made camp at Moria's western entrance, the doors of Durin currently invisible against the cliff face. Gandalf examined the stone, muttering to himself, trying to remember the password. "It's Melon," Deadpool said. "Means friend in Elvish." Everyone stared at him. "What?" "I told you I have meta-knowledge. The door is friend-activated. It's actually pretty wholesome for a giant death mountain." Gandalf spoke the word. The doors shimmered into existence, beautiful Elvish script glowing in moonlight, then swung open to reveal absolute darkness beyond. "Behold," Gimli said proudly, "the great realm of Khazad-dûm." "It's very dark," Pippin observed. "That's because everyone's dead," Deadpool said. "Spoiler alert, this used to be a thriving dwarf city, emphasis on used to be." "Show some respect," Gimli snapped. I'm respecting the fact that thousands of dwarves died here horribly. That's like maximum respect through acknowledgement of tragedy. They entered Moria with Gandalf's staff, providing the only light, a soft blue glow that barely pushed back the oppressive darkness. The air was stale, heavy with age and abandonment. This was once the greatest city of dwarves, Gimli said softly, his voice echoing. My cousin Balin came here 30 years ago to reclaim it. We should find him, greet him properly. Balin's dead, Deadpool said quietly. I'm sorry, Gimli. They're all dead. The dwarf whirled on him, face purple with rage. You lie! Balin would never... There! Deadpool pointed to a tomb visible in Gandalf's light. See for yourself, they approached. The tomb was covered in dwarvish runes. Gimli read them, his face crumbling. Here lies Balin, son of Fundin, lord of Moria. He's gone. They're all gone. I'm sorry, Deadpool said, meaning it. I really am. Gandalf picked up a book near the tomb, the last record of Balin's expedition. He began reading aloud. We cannot get out. They are coming. That's not ominous at all, Deadpool muttered. A sound echoed through the darkness, distant drums. Doom, doom, went the drums. Doom, doom, doom. They have a cave troll, Boromir said, recognizing the sound. No, Gandalf corrected, his face pale. That's not a troll. What is it then? Aragorn demanded. Before Gandalf could answer, the drums grew louder, and with them came the sound of thousands of feet, claws on stone, guttural voices raised in bloodlust. Goblins, Legolas whispered. Lots of goblins, Deadpool confirmed, drawing his katanas. Like Lord of the Rings extended edition levels of goblins. They burst from every corridor, hundreds of them, twisted creatures with yellow eyes and crude weapons. The Fellowship formed a circle, backs together, weapons ready. This is going to be bad, Aragorn said. Oh, it's going to be worse than bad, Deadpool replied. But hey, at least it's not boring. The goblins attacked. What followed was carnage. Pure, brutal, desperate carnage. Aragorn's sword sang through the air, each stroke dropping a goblin. Legolas's arrows flew so fast they seemed to blur, each one finding a kill. Gimli waded through them with his axe, bellowing dwarven curses. Boromir fought with Gondorian precision, his shield blocking as much as his sword killed. And Deadpool? Deadpool fought like a man possessed. His katanas were extensions of his will, cutting through goblins like they were made of paper. He took hits, dozens of them, arrows, blades, clubs, but he kept fighting. Every wound healed within seconds, his healing factor working overtime. Is he enjoying this? Boromir shouted, watching Deadpool laugh as he decapitated 3 goblins in one spin. I think he might be insane, Legolas called back. That's what I've been trying to tell you, Deadpool yelled cheerfully, impaling a goblin and using its body as a shield against arrows. I'm very mentally ill. It's my whole brand. They fought their way to a massive staircase, stone steps spanning a chasm hundreds of feet deep. The goblins pressed from all sides. The bridge, Gandalf shouted. Make for the bridge. They ran, the hobbits in the center, protected by the warriors. Goblins poured after them like a flood, seemingly endless. How many are there? Sam gasped. All of them, Deadpool answered. Every single goblin. They called in sick goblins from home, goblin temp workers, the full goblin roster. They reached a narrow bridge of stone, ancient, elegant, spanning the chasm in a single arch. The Fellowship raced across, and then the drums changed, deeper, more resonant, making the very stone shake. What's that? Pippin asked, terrified. Gandalf's face had gone ashen. A Balrog, a demon of the ancient world. The goblins stopped pursuing. They fell back, disappearing into cracks and crevices, fleeing in terror from what approached. This foe is beyond any of you, Gandalf said quietly. Run! Run! They ran. Down corridors, across chambers, the heat growing behind them. The very air began to glow orange. Then they saw it. The Balrog emerged from the depths like a nightmare given form. 20 feet tall, wreathed in shadow and flame, with wings that might have been smoke or might have been real. Its whip was fire, its sword was molten rock, and its eyes were like looking into hell itself. "What the actual fuck?" Deadpool screamed. "That's a Balrog? That's not a Balrog, that's a shit-your-pants demon lord!" "Over the bridge!" Gandalf commanded. "Quickly!" The Fellowship raced across the narrow stone bridge, the bridge of Khazad-dûm. The Balrog followed, each step shaking the foundations of the mountain. When the last of them had crossed, Gandalf stopped, turned, planted his staff on the bridge. "No," Deadpool said, realization hitting. "No, don't do it, Gandalf. There's another way." "There is no other way," Gandalf said calmly. "This is my task, mine alone." "Gandalf!" Frodo screamed. The wizard raised his staff. "You cannot pass. I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. The dark fire will not avail you, flame of Udun." The Balrog raised its sword of flame. "Go back to the shadow!" Gandalf struck the bridge with his staff. The ancient stone cracked, shattered, collapsed. The Balrog fell roaring into the abyss. Gandalf turned to follow the Fellowship. The Balrog's whip lashed out, catching Gandalf's ankle. Time seemed to slow. Gandalf fell, his fingers catching the edge of the bridge. "Gandalf!" Frodo screamed, trying to run back. Aragorn held him. "No!" The wizard looked up at them, and Deadpool saw something in those ancient eyes. Acceptance, peace, the knowledge that this was always going to be his ending. "Fly, you fools," Gandalf said, and let go. He fell into darkness, falling alongside the Balrog, his staff light fading. "No!" Deadpool screamed. He knew this happened. He knew, but knowing and seeing were different things. "Gandalf!" He ran to the edge, prepared to jump after him. Aragorn grabbed him. "He's gone. We must move. I can survive the fall. I can—" "You cannot survive a Balrog." Aragorn physically dragged him away. "We must go now." They ran, out of Moria into the light of day that felt obscene in its cheerfulness. They collapsed on the mountainside, grief overwhelming them. Merry and Pippin wept openly. Sam held Frodo, who looked shattered. Gimli sat in stony silence. Legolas stared at nothing. Boromir's face was carved from grief, and Deadpool stood apart, shaking with rage and guilt and helplessness. "I could have done something," he said to the air, to himself, to the fourth wall. "I could have pushed him aside, taken the whip, something." "You would have died with him," Aragorn said quietly. "I can't die, that's the whole point. I'm unkillable, and I just watched a good man fall to his death because I was too slow, too scared." "You're not a god," Aragorn said firmly. "You're just a man. A strange, immortal man, but a man nonetheless. You cannot save everyone." "Then what good am I?" Deadpool's voice cracked. "If I can't save the people who matter, what's the point of being unkillable?" No one had an answer. They sat in silence, processing loss, until Aragorn stood. "We must move. Gandalf gave his life to buy us time. We honor him by continuing the quest." "To where?" Boromir asked hollowly. "Lothlórien. The Lady Galadriel will shelter us." They walked in silence through the remainder of the day, each lost in grief. Deadpool walked at the rear, his usual manic energy completely gone. "I'm sorry," he whispered to no one. "I'm so sorry." Behind them, in the depths of Moria, Gandalf fell through darkness, locked in battle with ancient evil. But that story would come later. For now, the Fellowship mourned and continued on. Lothlórien rose around them like a dream. Golden trees, impossibly tall, reaching toward a sky filtered through leaves that seemed to glow with their own light. The air itself felt different here, cleaner, touched by magic so old it preceded civilization. "This place is beautiful," Sam breathed. "And dangerous," Aragorn warned. "The Elves of Lorien are not fond of strangers." Almost immediately they were surrounded. Elves appeared from the trees, literally from the trees, with bows drawn, arrows pointed at the fellowship's hearts. "Halt," commanded one, his voice carrying absolute authority. "You trespass in the realm of the Lady Galadriel and Lord Celeborn." "We come as friends," Aragorn said in Elvish, which Deadpool somehow understood thanks to his dimensional translation package. "We seek shelter after great loss." The lead elf, Haldir, Deadpool's mind supplied, noticed Frodo. "The ring-bearer. We have been expecting you." Then his eyes fell on Deadpool. "But this one reeks of wrongness, of displacement. What is he?" "Rude," Deadpool said in perfect Elvish, surprising everyone, including himself. "I'm a dimensional traveler. Also, reeks? I showered in Rivendell. Well, not really showered, more like stood, in a waterfall, but still." Haldir's eyes narrowed. "You speak the ancient tongue. Apparently, neat party trick, right?" Deadpool looked at his hands. "I think crashing through dimensions gave me a universal translator, which is convenient for plot reasons." "He is with us," Aragorn said firmly. "Where we go, he goes." After a tense moment, Haldir lowered his bow. "Very well, but you will be watched." He looked at Gimli, "Especially the dwarf." "I'm standing right here," Gimli grumbled. They were led deeper into Lothlórien, to the heart of the Golden Wood, where massive trees, Mellern, grew in spiral patterns around a central clearing. Platforms and walkways connected them, an entire city in the canopy. And there, descending a spiraling stair, came Galadriel. If Elrond was regal, Galadriel was transcendent. She moved like light-made flesh, her presence so overwhelming that even Deadpool's constant internal monologue stuttered to silence. Her eyes, ancient beyond measure, saw through him, past him, into him. "Welcome, ring-bearer," she said, her voice like music and thunder combined. "And welcome to your companions." Her gaze fixed on Deadpool. "Even those who should not be." Deadpool tried to speak, failed, tried again. Hi, big fan. You're terrifying, in a good way, mostly good. You are far from home, Wade Wilson." The use of his actual name made him flinch. "Your presence here was not ordained. You are a thread pulled loose from another tapestry, woven into ours by chance and folly." "That's me. Chance and folly. Put it on my business card." Galadriel smiled, but it wasn't comforting. "You carry great pain. A curse that will not kill you cannot kill you. You wish for death, yet fear it. You are a contradiction walking." "Can you not?" Deadpool asked, his voice smaller than usual. "The whole psychoanalyze the mentally ill mercenary thing? I get enough of that from my own thoughts." "Peace, Wade Wilson. I do not judge." She turned to the others. "You have suffered great loss. Mithrandir has fallen into shadow." The reminder brought fresh grief. Frodo's face crumbled. "But his task is not ended," Galadriel continued, "and neither is yours. Come. Rest. Heal. Tomorrow I will show you what may be." That night the Fellowship was given food, shelter, and the first true rest since leaving Rivendell. Deadpool found himself unable to enjoy any of it, Gandalf's fall playing on repeat in his mind. "You couldn't have saved him," Aragorn said, finding Deadpool sitting alone on a platform, staring at stars through golden leaves. "I keep telling myself that. It's not working. He was my friend for many years, a mentor, a guide." Aragorn sat beside him. "I want to blame someone, to rage against fate. But Gandalf made his choice. He stood against the Balrog so we could live. Dishonoring that sacrifice with guilt serves no one. In my world, heroes come back, Deadpool said quietly. They die, but they come back. Death is temporary, meaningless almost, but here, he gestured at the forest. Here, when people die, they're just gone, forever. And I can't fix it, can't undo it. Can't do anything except watch people I'm starting to care about suffer. You're not responsible for saving everyone. Then what am I responsible for? Aragorn was quiet for a long moment. Being present, fighting when you can, mourning when you can't, being human. I'm not human, not anymore, not really. You're human enough. Aragorn stood. Rest, Deadpool, tomorrow will bring new trials. The next morning, Galadriel summoned Frodo and Sam to her garden. And surprisingly, Deadpool. Why me? He asked. Because you see what others cannot, Galadriel said. You know futures that may or may not come to pass. I would test this knowledge. She led them to a basin, silver filled with water that reflected not the sky above but something deeper. The mirror of Galadriel. This is a mirror that shows things that were, things that are, and some things that have not yet come to pass. She gestured to the water. Do you wish to look? Frodo approached hesitantly. He looked into the water. Deadpool couldn't see what Frodo saw, but he saw the hobbit's face twist in horror. Saw him reach for the ring, offering it to Galadriel. You offer it freely? She asked. I do not deny that my heart has greatly desired this. Deadpool tensed. He knew this moment, knew the test. Galadriel's voice changed, grew terrible. In place of a dark lord, you would have a queen. Not dark, but beautiful and terrible as the dawn, treacherous as the sea, stronger than the foundations of the earth. All shall love me and despair. The forest darkened. The air pressure changed. Deadpool saw for just a moment what Galadriel could become, a goddess of terrible beauty, enslaving Middle-earth not with evil but with love so overwhelming it erased free will. Then she diminished, returned to herself. I passed the test. I will diminish and go into the west and remain Galadriel. Frodo pulled back the ring, shaking. And you, Galadriel turned to Deadpool. Will you look? I'm good, thanks. I've seen enough horrible futures in my own universe. Nevertheless, look. It wasn't a request. Deadpool found himself approaching the basin, looking into water that was too clear, too deep. The visions came fast. He saw himself back in his own universe, but wrong, twisted. The healing factor finally breaking, cancer consuming him from the inside out, unable to die but unable to live, trapped in agony forever. He saw the Fellowship destroyed, Frodo corrupted, Sam dead, Middle-earth in chains. He saw himself staying in Middle-earth, becoming a legend but hollow. Centuries passing, everyone he cared about aging and dying while he remained unchanged, increasingly isolated, increasingly mad. He saw a path where he saved Gandalf. And the wizard never returned as Gandalf the White and Rohan fell and the war was lost. He saw triumph. The ring, destroyed. But at costs he couldn't bear. Aragorn dead, Legolas fallen, the hobbits broken. Stop, he gasped, pulling back. Stop, I can't. You see the weight of choice, Galadriel said gently. Every decision ripples outward. Some futures are better, some worse, but none are certain. How do you live with that, knowing that every choice might doom everyone? By making the choice anyway, by accepting that uncertainty is the price of freedom. She touched his mask gently. You hide your face from the world, from yourself. But I see you, Wade Wilson. I see your pain, your courage, your desperate hope that you might matter. Do I? Matter? That is not for me to answer. But know this, you were brought here for a reason. Perhaps not by design, but the world itself called to you. Your story was meant to intersect with ours. That's not an answer. No, but it is the truth. She gave the fellowship gifts that night. Elven cloaks that could hide them in shadow. Rope that would never break. Lembas bread that would last for months. To Deadpool, she gave a small crystal vial. Light of Arundel's star, she said. It will shine brightest when all other lights go out. For one who lives in perpetual darkness, perhaps you need it most. I don't, Deadpool's voice caught. Thank you, really, for not being terrified of me. I have lived 10,000 years, Wade Wilson. Very little terrifies me anymore. She smiled. Though I admit you are certainly unique. The fellowship departed Lothlórien at dawn, their boats provided by the Elves. They would take the river Anduin as far as they could before making the final march. As they paddled south, Deadpool sat in his boat with Legolas and Gimli watching the golden forest recede behind them. That was intense, he said finally. The lady is always intense, Legolas agreed. Terrifying elf witch, Gimli muttered, though without real malice. Did she show you guys the mirror? No, Legolas said. Why? What did you see? Futures, bad ones mostly, a few good ones, all of them impossible to predict or prevent. The future is always uncertain, Legolas said philosophically. Yeah, but I've got meta-knowledge. I know how this story should go, but I'm changing it just by being here, and I have no idea if I'm making things better or worse. Gimli grunted. Then stop thinking about it and just do what feels right. What if what feels right is wrong? Then you'll know that next time. Simple dwarf wisdom. Deadpool found it oddly comforting. Days passed on the river. The fellowship traveled in relative peace, though tension grew as they approached the next decision point. Amon Hen, where they'd have to choose between going to Minas Tirith or continuing to Mordor. Deadpool could feel it building. The ring's corruption. Boromir's internal struggle. The breaking point approaching like a storm. On the evening of their 9th day on the river, they made camp on the western shore. The company was quiet, each lost in thought. Frodo wandered away from camp seeking solitude. Boromir followed, and Deadpool, seeing it happen, knowing what came next, had to make a choice. Let it play out as it was meant to, or intervene and risk unknown consequences. He followed them both, keeping to the shadows, his heart pounding. He heard Boromir's voice, desperate, pleading. The ring could save my people. Why do you recoil? I am no thief. You are not yourself. Frodo's voice frightened. What chance do we have if we refuse to use it? Boromir's voice was rising. Give it to me. Give me the ring. Deadpool burst through the trees just as Boromir lunged for Frodo. His katana intercepted Boromir's sword with a sound like a bell tolling. Step back, Deadpool said quietly, all humor gone. Right now? Boromir's eyes were wild, the ring's madness clear in his face. You're not even from this world. What right do you have? The right of someone who's been corrupted by power before. Deadpool pushed him back. I know exactly what you're feeling. The ring is telling you that you can save everyone, that you're strong enough to use it, that everyone who says otherwise is weak or afraid. Yes, Boromir seized on this. You understand, we could become monsters. Deadpool's voice was hard. I've been the monster, Boromir. I've justified terrible things because I thought I was saving people. And you know what I learned? Power that corrupts you isn't power. It's poison. Behind them, Frodo had slipped the ring on, vanished. Frodo, Sam's voice called from the camp. Mr. Frodo? The spell broke. Boromir's face cleared, horror replacing madness. What have I done? I tried to take the ring. You failed, Deadpool said. Which means you succeeded. You're still you, still Boromir. Horns sounded in the distance. Orc horns. "The company!" Boromir turned, running back toward camp. Deadpool followed, but his mind was racing. Frodo was gone. Had put on the ring, was probably running toward Mordor right now. And the attack had begun. Uruk-hai poured from the forest, larger than orcs, bred for war, utterly fearless. They hit the Fellowship like a hammer. Aragorn's sword sang. Legolas's arrows flew. Gimli's axe rose and fell. But there were so many. Too many. "The Hobbits!" Boromir screamed. "Protect the Hobbits!" Merry and Pippin were surrounded. Deadpool cut through Uruk-hai like wheat, reaching them just as Boromir took an arrow to the chest. Then another. Then a third. Boromir fell to his knees, still fighting, still protecting the Hobbits. "No!" Deadpool screamed. He reached Boromir just as the fourth arrow struck. The man of Gondor collapsed. "I failed," Boromir whispered, blood on his lips. "I tried to take the ring." "You came back," Deadpool said, cradling him. "You fought for them, you protected them, that's what matters." "I would have followed you, my brother," Boromir said to Aragorn, who'd appeared beside them. "My captain, my king." "Be at peace, son of Gondor," Aragorn said, his voice breaking. Boromir's eyes found Deadpool's. "Promise me, protect them, the Hobbits, Gondor, all of it." "I promise," Deadpool said. Boromir smiled and died. Deadpool stood, rage coursing through him. His katanas were in his hands. The Uruk-hai who'd shot Boromir was right there, reloading. He moved like death incarnate. The Uruk-hai died screaming. So did the next 20. Deadpool carved through them with efficiency born of decades killing, his healing factor letting him take risks no sane warrior would attempt. By the time the battle ended, 40 Uruk-hai lay dead around him. His suit was shredded. His body was covered in wounds already healing. But Boromir was still dead. "Frodo's gone," Aragorn said quietly. "Sam, too. They've taken the ring toward Mordor." "And Merry and Pippin?" Deadpool asked. "Captured. The Uruk-hai took them." "Then we go after them." "No." Aragorn's voice was firm. "Frodo has made his choice. He goes to Mordor. The Hobbits go to Isengard. We cannot save both. We can try. We follow the Hobbits." Aragorn's decision was final. Frodo and Sam have the best chance at the ring's quest. But Merry and Pippin will die if we don't save them. Legolas nodded. "The choice is clear," Gimli spat. "Then let's move. Every minute we wait, they get farther away." They buried Boromir with honor, sent his body over the falls of Rauros in a boat piled with weapons of the slain enemies. "I couldn't save him," Deadpool said, watching the boat disappear over the falls. "You tried," Aragorn replied. "That's all any of us can do." The Fellowship, now reduced to 4, set off at a run, following the Uruk-hai tracks into the west. As they ran, Deadpool finally understood what Gandalf had meant, what Galadriel had shown him. This wasn't his story. He couldn't control the ending. All he could do was be present, fight when needed, and hope that his choices mattered. "I'm coming for you, Merry and Pippin," he muttered. "Just hold on." Behind them, the Fellowship was broken. Ahead, war was coming to Rohan, and Deadpool ran toward it with the last of his companions, determined to save at least someone before this quest was done. They ran for 3 days and 3 nights. Deadpool's healing factor meant he never tired, could push beyond human endurance indefinitely. But watching Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli suffer, seeing them drive themselves past exhaustion, past pain, past reason, that was harder than any physical challenge. "We should rest," Deadpool said on the 3rd day. "You guys are going to collapse." "The Hobbits don't have the luxury of rest," Aragorn said, not slowing. "You're no good to them dead." "Then I'll die running." Aragorn's voice carried absolute conviction. They crossed into Rohan, grasslands stretching to the horizon, beautiful in a stark, windswept way. And there, finally, they encountered riders. The Rohirrim surrounded them in seconds, mounted warriors with spears, leveled, their horses stamping and snorting. "Who are you?" demanded their leader, a hard man with suspicious eyes. "What business have strangers in Rohan?" "I am Aragorn, son of Arathorn," Aragorn said. "We track Uruk-hai, who have taken our friends captive. Have you seen them?" The rider's expression darkened. "We destroyed them at dawn, but we found no hobbits among the dead, only orcs." "Then they escaped," Legolas said. "Into the forest, Fangorn." "No one enters Fangorn and survives," the rider said, but he pointed toward the tree line. "The orc pile burns there. Look if you must." They found the smoldering remains of the Uruk-hai camp. Bodies everywhere, smoke rising from cremation pyres, but no hobbits. "There!" Deadpool spotted small footprints leading into Fangorn Forest. "They made it! They're alive!" "Into a forest that kills intruders," Gimli muttered. "Some escape." "Better than being orc food," Deadpool said. "Come on!" Fangorn Forest was ancient. The trees didn't just grow, they loomed, watching, aware. The very air felt heavy with age and intelligence. "This place is creepy," Deadpool said. "Like trees are definitely going to murder us creepy." "Speak softly," Legolas warned. "The trees of Fangorn are old and angry." They followed the hobbits' trail deeper into the forest until they reached a clearing where sunlight broke through the canopy. And there, standing in a shaft of light, was a figure in white. "Gandalf?" Deadpool's voice was barely a whisper. The figure turned. It was Gandalf, but different. His robes were pure white instead of gray. His staff was new, shining. His eyes were fiercer, brighter, carrying power that had been tempered in the fires of death and rebirth. "Gandalf!" Aragorn's voice broke with joy. "Yes," Gandalf said, smiling. "I am Gandalf the White, and I come back to you now at the turn of the tide." Deadpool felt his knees go weak with relief. "You died. I watched you fall. I threw down my enemy and he fell from the high place and broke the mountain where he smote it in his ruin," Gandalf said. "Then darkness took me and I strayed out of thought and time. Stars wheeled overhead and every day was as long as a life age of the earth. But it was not the end. I was sent back until my task is done." "You came back." Deadpool's voice was thick with emotion. "People don't come back here, but you did. Death is not always the end, Wade Wilson, not for wizards." Gandalf placed a hand on his shoulder. "Come. We have little time. War comes to Rohan, and we must be there to meet it." Over the next hours, Gandalf explained what Deadpool already knew, but the others didn't. Saruman had corrupted Rohan's king, Theoden. An army marched toward Helm's Deep. The hobbits were safe with the Ents, ancient tree shepherds who would soon march on Isengard. "We ride to Edoras," Gandalf declared. "We must free Theoden from Saruman's grip." What followed was a blur of motion. They rode on horses provided by the Rohirrim. Deadpool had never ridden a horse before and discovered he was terrible at it, bouncing in the saddle like a sack of potatoes while everyone else rode with practiced grace. "You're going to break your tailbone," Legolas observed. "Already broken, healing as we speak. This is fine. Everything is fine." Deadpool clung to the horse's mane. "Why don't you guys have cars or motorcycles? Something with shock absorption?" They reached Edoras, a city built on a hill, all wooden halls and thatched roofs, stark against the grass plains. The golden hall of Medusel dominated the summit. Inside they found King Theoden, ancient, decrepit, bent under Saruman's curse. His advisor, Grima Wormtongue, whispered poison in his ear while Éowyn, Theoden's niece, watched with barely concealed frustration. Gandalf's restoration of Theoden was dramatic. Power flared, Wormtongue fled. The king straightened, youth and strength returning to his frame, and suddenly he was Theoden, king of Rohan, the horse lord, carried with him a presence that filled the hall. "War is upon us," Gandalf told him. "Saruman's army marches even now, 10,000 strong." "We cannot defeat such numbers," Theoden said. "We retreat to Helm's Deep. The fortress has never fallen to assault." "There's a first time for everything," Deadpool muttered. Theoden gave him a sharp look. "And who are you?" "Dimensional traveler, friendly immortal, generally helpful in battles involving overwhelming odds." Deadpool bowed awkwardly. "At your service." "He's mad," Theoden said to Gandalf. "Completely," Gandalf agreed. "But useful." The evacuation of Edoras was chaos. Thousands of Rohirrim, civilians, warriors, families, all making the desperate march to Helm's Deep. Deadpool helped where he could, carrying children who couldn't walk, supporting elders, making jokes to ease fear. "You're good with people," Éowyn observed, riding beside him. "I hide my crippling social anxiety behind humor. It's a gift." Deadpool looked at her. "You're Éowyn, right? The warrior princess who's not allowed to fight." "I am no princess. I am a shield maiden of Rohan." Her voice was hard. "And I will fight whether they allow it or not. That's the spirit. Screw gender roles. If you can stab things, you should be allowed to stab things." She smiled slightly. "You are strange." "I get that a lot." They reached Helm's Deep as the sun was setting. A massive fortress carved into a mountain, walls of stone rising 30 feet high. A single gate reinforced with timber and iron. "This place is impressive," Deadpool said, studying the fortifications. "Very defensible. Excellent sight lines. Only one problem." "What's that?" Aragorn asked. "In the movies, in the prophecies I've read, 10,000 Uruk-hai show up and nearly break through. You've got maybe 300 defenders, half of them old men and boys. The math doesn't work." "Then we make it work," Aragorn said simply. That night they prepared for battle. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli armed themselves. Theoden rallied his people. Éowyn was forbidden from fighting and seethed with frustration. And Deadpool stood on the wall, watching the horizon, waiting for what he knew was coming. "You're afraid," Gandalf said, joining him. "Terrified. Not for me, I'll survive, but for everyone else. I've watched too many people die already, Boromir, almost you. If I lose anyone else," he trailed off. "You cannot protect everyone." "I know, but I can try." The Uruk-hai arrived with the storm. Thousands of them, a black tide flowing across the plain. They beat their weapons against shields, a sound like thunder, chanting war cries that made the very stones shake. "Brace yourselves," Theoden commanded. Legolas fired the first arrow. It took an Uruk-hai through the throat. The battle began. What followed was hell. Pure, unrelenting hell. The Uruk-hai came in waves, carrying ladders, hooks, battering rams. They climbed the walls like ants, heedless of losses. Deadpool fought on the main wall, his katanas never still. He cut down Uruk-hai by the dozen, his healing factor letting him take risks that would kill anyone else. He was stabbed, slashed, bludgeoned, it didn't matter. He kept fighting. "Is he laughing?" one of the Rohirrim asked, horrified. "He's insane," another replied. "He's effective," Aragorn shouted. "Keep fighting." Hours passed. The Uruk-hai breached the wall, hand-to-hand fighting in the courtyard, desperate and brutal. Theoden was forced back into the keep, the main gate beginning to fail. "They're breaking through!" Gimli yelled. Deadpool looked at the gate, massive oak timbers reinforced with iron groaning under the impact of a battering ram. It wouldn't hold much longer. "I've got an idea," he said. "No!" Aragorn started. Too late. Deadpool was already moving. He climbed to the top of the gate, stood on the narrow ledge above it, and as the Uruk-hai gathered below for another ram strike, he jumped into the middle of them, his katana's whirled. Uruk-hai fell in pieces. He was a tornado of blades and insanity, cutting through them with superhuman speed and complete disregard for self-preservation. They surrounded him, hacking at him from all sides. He took wounds that would have killed 10 men, kept fighting. "Wade!" Aragorn's voice from above. "I'm fine!" Deadpool shouted back, impaling an Uruk-hai through the eye. "This is fine! Everything is—" An axe caught him in the ribs, cracking bone. "Ow! Okay, not fine! Definitely not fine!" He went down under a pile of Uruk-hai bodies, and from inside the pile there was an explosion of movement. Deadpool erupted from the mass of enemies, covered in blood, mostly theirs, missing part of his mask, one katana broken. "Is that my face?" he said, looking at exposed skin visible through the torn mask. "Great! Now everyone can see my beautiful mug." The Rohirrim stared in horror at his cancer-scarred face. "Yeah, I know. Not my best angle. The healing factor saves my life but makes me look like a testicle." He grabbed a fallen Uruk-hai's sword. "Can we focus on the battle? We can discuss my devastating handsomeness later." The dawn came with a horn blast. Theoden rallied his remaining forces for one final charge. Ride out to meet the enemy, die with honor. But Deadpool had other ideas. "Gandalf's coming," he said, "with reinforcements." "How do you know?" Theoden demanded. "Meta-knowledge. Also dramatic timing. It's always dawn. The good guys always arrive at dawn." And there, cresting the hill as sunlight broke, was Gandalf, riding at the head of 2,000 Rohirrim who'd been rallied during the night. They charged down the slope like an avalanche. The Uruk-hai, caught between the fortress and the cavalry, broke. It was over. Helm's Deep was saved. Deadpool collapsed against a wall, healing from approximately 30 severe wounds, watching the sunrise. "We did it," he said to no one. "We actually did it." Aragorn sat beside him, equally exhausted. "You fought like a demon. I've been called worse. They saw your face, the Rohirrim. They're calling you the Scarred Devil." "Catchy. I like it." Deadpool pulled his mask back into place. "Better than Deadpool the Gross. You saved many lives tonight. I also traumatized people with my face, so, you know, mixed results." They sat in silence, watching Gandalf organize the aftermath, watching the wounded be tended, watching Middle-earth survive another day. "Gandalf says Frodo is close to Mordor now," Aragorn said quietly. "The quest nears its end, which means my time here is almost up." Deadpool felt it, a pull, a resonance, the dimensional barriers healing, his thread being drawn back toward his own tapestry. "I can feel it. The universe wants me back where I belong. Will you go?" Deadpool paused. "I don't know. Part of me wants to stay, see this through, but part of me knows I don't belong here. I'm a variable, a chaos element. The longer I stay, the more I risk breaking everything. You've saved more than you've broken. This time. But what about next time?" The question hung unanswered. That evening, as the Rohirrim celebrated their survival, Deadpool felt it intensify, the pull home, growing stronger. His broken teleporter sparked to life, glowing faintly. "It's time," Gandalf said, approaching him. "The barriers have healed enough. You can return." "Just like that?" "Just like that, though," Gandalf smiled. "I suspect the choice is yours. Stay, if you wish. Middle-earth could use someone with your unique talents." Deadpool looked around at the people he'd fought beside. Aragorn, who'd become a true friend, Legolas and Gimli, arguing about kill counts, the Hobbits, safe with the Ents but still his responsibility in a way. Éowyn, who'd defied orders and fought anyway, earning grudging respect. "I want to stay," he admitted. "But I can't. My world needs me too. And if I stay here, I risk changing too much, becoming a crutch. You guys need to save yourselves. That's how the story works." "The story has already changed," Gandalf observed. "You saw to that." "Yeah, but the important parts are still intact. Frodo has the ring. Aragorn's becoming the king he's meant to be. You came back from death. The story still works." Deadpool smiled sadly. "I was just a footnote, a weird crossover episode." "You were a friend," Aragorn said firmly, "to all of us." The Fellowship, what remained of it, gathered to say goodbye. Even Theoden came, offering respect to the strange warrior who'd helped save his kingdom. "Before I go," Deadpool said, "I need you to promise me something. Find Merry and Pippin, keep them safe, make sure Frodo destroys the ring. Build the world you're fighting for." He looked at each of them. "And remember that some random guy from another dimension believed you could do it." "We will remember," Gandalf promised. The teleporter flared bright. Reality began to bend. "Wait!" Éowyn ran forward, pressed something into his hand. "So you don't forget us." A small token, a horse sigil of Rohan carved in wood. "I could never forget you guys," Deadpool said, his voice thick. "You're heroes, real ones, the kind I always wanted to be." "You are a hero," Aragorn said. "Perhaps the strangest hero Middle-earth has ever seen, but a hero nonetheless." The dimensional portal opened, a swirling vortex of light and color showing glimpses of New York, of his world. "Goodbye," Deadpool said. "Give my regards to Frodo. Tell him the weight gets lighter. Tell Sam he's the real hero. Tell the Hobbits I'll miss them." "Goodbye, Wade Wilson," Gandalf said. "May your journey home be swift." Deadpool stepped toward the portal, paused, looked back one more time. "Hey, Gandalf, about the eagles." "Go!" everyone shouted. Laughing, Deadpool jumped through the portal. Reality twisted, dimensions folded. He was pulled through the space between worlds, watching Middle-earth fade behind him. His last glimpse was of the Fellowship standing together, waving farewell. Then he was falling through his own universe, crashing onto a Manhattan rooftop in a tangle of limbs and dimensional energy. "Ow," he groaned. "Forgot how much that hurts." He stood, checking his surroundings. Same rooftop where he'd left. Same AIM goons. Unconscious, he'd apparently already beaten them before the teleporter malfunction. Cable appeared in a flash of light and temporal displacement. "Wade, where the hell have you been? You've been gone for..." He checked his ARM computer. 3 seconds? 3 seconds? Deadpool stared. "I was gone for weeks." "Time dilation, dimensional travel, it's complicated." Cable noticed the broken teleporter. "You broke my tech again?" "I saved Middle-earth." "You what?" "Long story, like 15,000-word story. I'll tell you later." Deadpool looked at the wooden token in his hand. Proof it hadn't been a dream. "Right now, I just want tacos." "You're insane." "Completely, but I'm also a hero." Deadpool grinned behind his newly repaired mask. "Ask the Fellowship of the Ring." Cable stared at him. "The what?" "Never mind." Deadpool pocketed the token carefully. "Come on. Taco truck owner isn't going to save himself." They left the rooftop, Cable muttering about temporal paradoxes and broken equipment, Deadpool humming the Lord of the Rings theme. In another universe, the Fellowship continued their quest. Frodo carried the ring toward Mount Doom. Aragorn prepared to become king, and in their stories and their legends there would always be a footnote about the scarred devil. The dimensional warrior who appeared from nowhere, fought beside them, and vanished as mysteriously as he'd arrived. Deadpool would never know how their story ended. Whether Frodo succeeded, whether Aragorn claimed his throne, whether Middle-earth was saved. But he had faith. They were heroes, after all, real ones, and heroes always found a way. "Hey, audience," Deadpool said to the fourth wall. "To you reading this? Thanks for sticking with me on this weird crossover adventure. I know it got dark sometimes, but that's life, right? Dark, weird, occasionally beautiful, full of people worth fighting for." He touched the wooden token in his pocket. "Hope shines brightest in the darkest night. Some wizard told me that. And you know what? He was right." Deadpool swung off into the New York skyline toward his next adventure, carrying memories of another world. And in Middle-earth, the sun rose over Helm's Deep, illuminating a fellowship that had been 10, then 9, then 4, now growing again as the quest neared its end. Two universes briefly touching, both changed forever by the collision. That was enough. That would always be enough. Epilogue: Hope in the Dark. 6 months later, in the Merc with a mouth's apartment, a disaster zone of takeout containers and weapons, Deadpool sat on his couch, absently touching the wooden horse token. His phone rang. Unknown number. "Wade Wilson's House of Pancakes and Emotional Damage. How may I direct your call?" Static, then a voice, impossibly distant, crackling across dimensional barriers. "Wade, can you hear me?" Deadpool's heart stopped. "Gandalf? The ring is destroyed. Frodo succeeded. Aragorn is king. Middle-earth is saved." The wizard's voice was faint but clear. "I thought you should know." "You guys did it," Deadpool whispered. "You actually did it. We did it together. Your contribution, however brief, mattered more than you know." A pause. "Thank you, Wade Wilson, for everything. Thank you for showing me what real heroes look like. Perhaps we'll meet again, when the need is great and the dimensions align." "I'd like that." The connection faded, leaving only silence. Deadpool sat in his apartment, a small smile on his scarred face. "They did it," he said to the fourth wall, "to you. The Fellowship actually saved Middle-earth, and I got to help, even just a little." He looked at the token, then placed it carefully on his shelf, between a photo of his X-Force team and a chimichangas wrapper he'd been meaning to throw away. "Not bad for a dimensional accident," he muttered. Outside, New York continued its chaotic existence. Crime, heroism, everyday miracles and tragedies. And Deadpool, the Merc with a mouth, the regenerating degenerate, the scarred devil of Middle-earth, prepared for his next adventure. Because that's what heroes did. They kept fighting, kept hoping, kept trying to make things better even when the odds were impossible. Hope shines brightest in the darkest night. And Deadpool, for all his madness and scarring and trauma, carried a little more hope than he had before. That was enough. That would always be enough.